welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us today. We're talking with the Stone Sisters from Kelowna, BC. This is the With Great Power podcast, a very pretentious name for what is otherwise a fun little bit of time that we're going to spend chatting away about real estate and a whole bunch of other stuff. What motivates people to do what they do, where they find their personal power, I guess you could say. And just what they're doing, what they're up to in their communities and all that sort of stuff. We have to keep it pretty loose and have a lot of fun. So we are going to jump over there. I only see one of the two of them there. So I think the other one probably went to go and do stuff. Let me see what I can do here. I'm going to unmute you because they're laughing and we should probably hear them laughing. It's always good. Yeah. And there it is, the Stone Sisters. How are you?
I'm much better now.
I've been drinking coffee all day, so I may have to duck out halfway through too. I'm not too sure.
Good. We're late.
Tell everybody who you are, because it's Tamara and Shannon. And to be honest, I always get you confused sometimes. I have to creep your Facebook profile for a second and go, oh, that one's Shannon. Okay.
That one's Shannon. That one's Tamara. It happens often. Our clients get confused because we sound a lot alike too. So often I'll be on the phone and clients will be like, are you sure this isn't Tamara? I'm like, no, really. It's not Tamara. This is Shannon. So
even our parents, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got two younger brothers and we're kind of separated by a number of years. But yeah, every so often I'll have my brother's friend yelling at me from across a restaurant downtown somewhere and be like, hey, and I won't pay attention. So then he'll call my brother and get mad at him for not answering, right? That kind of stuff. So it happens. But yeah, that's awesome. And I know, I think it's easy in a way. I've known about the two of you for quite some time. I've been in real estate with RE/MAX specifically for about 8.5 years. And I remember my broker of record actually mentioning the two of you back when I started. Your marketing, what you guys are doing out there and all that sort of stuff. It's very on point. That was the thing. You were the first ones that I saw at the time. I remember everybody was in black. The marketing was black and gold and all this kind of stuff and everything. And then you guys showed up and everything was white. It was whoa, that's different. It was a lot of fun.
We do still do that. We're not today, but we are normally dressed in head to toe white.
Yeah, which is also makes it more confusing. So we wanted to talk to you today. We just wanted to see what you're doing. I'm trying to find interesting people who also happen to be in real estate and what they're doing in the industry. It was International Women's Day on Sunday. So the two of you have done extremely well out in Kelowna there, and you've actually just launched your own brokerage, your own boutique brokerage.
Yes.
Can you tell us tell us about it, how did that come about and what was the process behind that?
Well, so a few years ago, they started to announce that the rules in BC would be changing. And so that, as we all know in the industry, we wouldn't be able to double end. So we couldn't represent a buyer and a seller in the same transaction. Right. Being a team, that's challenging. We have a team, we've got a few other licensed realtors that work with us. So one of those realtors, even though they'd never met our seller, they couldn't bring a buyer to one of our listings. Mm-hmm. So that's really what spearheaded all of this. Mm-hmm. That was a few years ago. It's taken a while to come to fruition with us, but finally it's happened, and now we can essentially our brokerage can work with the buyer and the seller.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. And we'll probably get into it, Tony, but our unique selling proposition, I guess, for lack of a better phrase, is we are strong marketers, and we're situated in Kelowna, the Okanagan Valley in BC. It's beautiful. We're probably number one thing we're known for is peaches and beaches and vineyards and
golf and great skiing though in the winter time. So
and a lot of the buyers come from outside the area. On our listings last year, it was over 60% of people had come from Vancouver or Toronto or anywhere in between. And we generate a lot of interest in our listings from outside the area. Love to give that business to the agents at our brokerage now, formerly on the team, and weren't able to do that when the rules changed. So that is, as Shannon said, that's what prompted the whole brokerage.
Well, we've been keeping an eye on it as well, because we've gone through a bunch of changes as well. And we know Tony Joe out in Victoria, another RE/MAX guy out there, and we talk about this frequently too, is it seems like whatever happens, it happens first in BC in terms of changes to the real estate industry. And then maybe about 6 or 8 months later, it kind of gets transported over here to Ontario, Toronto, that kind of thing. And hopefully we learn our lessons from whatever worked or didn't work, and we fix it. but yeah, we're keeping a close eye because we've been through the same thing here. We just passed the Trust in Real Estate Services Act about a week ago, which
Right.
actually one of the things they were going to address with things like multiple representation, double ending and stuff. We didn't go as strict as you have in BC, but there are some changes coming. And we, for the first time, we've actually just been allowed to incorporate as real estate agents.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's the other reason I was getting asked too, because I know out in BC, you've been able to do personal real estate corporations for some time. And so what was the other motivation? Like when you were building up to do that? So obviously that was the main driver. You just wanted to be able to serve your clients better because of the rule changes. So how did you get there? Like you've got your team. Were you, during the planning stages, were you adding personnel to sort of get to the point where you could be a brokerage, or is it pretty much the same team that you had, 2 years ago, and you just kind of made it into a separate brokerage? Like the nuts and bolts of it, I guess.
We have added to our team. So we've added 2 realtors in the last year, knowing we were going ahead with the brokerage. This wasn't something, as I said, overnight. We probably were the last year really kind of trying to fine tune and lay out the groundwork and the plan of how we were going to do this. And so in that time we hired, 2 new realtors.
Also 2 new administrators. We're really trying to streamline the processes. We run this very, very systematically and have people who have got their departments, if you will. One fellow on our team actually talks about it like swim lanes. And in the beginning, the swim lane was Shannon and I. And then we expanded and had somebody helping, and expanded all together, including the realtors and ourselves and our admin. We're 13 people. And everybody really has a clearly defined role. And as we grow, I think with the brokerage, we will expand. I think we'll have some more realtors come on board. And that's likely going to mean, right now, I think we're good from an admin point of view, but we'll need more administrative support. Probably once we get 4 more realtors.
Right. So is it truly, and again, just asking a question here because this is how it works here. What we've been able to do is, instead of forming a separate brokerage, because we can incorporate that way, we've done sub brokerages, but you've actually formed a complete standalone brokerage from where you were before.
We're tied to Remax Kelowna here. That was the only way that we could do it, was being tied to Remax Kelowna. But we are a separate brokerage, so we're not a sub brokerage. I know, you had to do, or people had to do a sub brokerage kind of model because they couldn't be incorporated. So we've been incorporated, both of us individually, for quite a few years. Right. So then we've become sort of it is like a sub brokerage, but it is a separate identity.
Right. And so you're maintaining like all your own record keeping and auditing and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. Cool. So how has the model changed for you? So from what I remember, I've bumped into both of you together and separately at different conferences over the years. We've had very brief moments to chat, but nothing really too in depth. But from what I remember from listening to you both speak, because you have traveled across Canada, and just from what examples I've actually heard, because they have held you up as a model here in a bunch of different sessions. We're just obsessed with the Stone Sisters in Ontario. But that your marketing and just your strategy, and more importantly, from what I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, but in the earlier days, at least, the story that we were told about the Stone Sisters was that you had a pretty regimented day. So you had your days planned out, but you did a lot of walking in the communities, like door to door.
We still do.
Yeah. We get new shoes that way. So it's the only way to get new shoes.
So really, so for yourselves personally, when you're undertaking the brokerage, you're still fulfilling like all the admin type stuff, or do you have somebody separate doing that and you're still out really doing customer facing jobs? Or how has it changed really since, say, you've been in business 15 years and you mentioned Tamara's been there for 25 years, like compared to say 5 years ago and 10 years ago and 15 years ago, like how have things evolved over the years? And have you sort of introduced more social media contacts for leads and that sort of thing versus 10 years ago that wasn't around? So like door knocking and postcards, that was it really, right?
Right. We've changed over 15 years, 10 years, even 5 years. We've changed completely.
Dramatically.
So
there are a few remaining elements of, the door knocking, which we actually still will do. Sean and I are still really involved in the day-to-day rainmaking aspect of the business.
Mm-hmm. And out there in the field, we're still going on listing appointments. We're still working with clients.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we have brought on more administrative help. We have a business director now that will run the business side of things. I mean, we're actively, constantly involved in that as well, but not the day-to-day as much, so that we can focus on what we love to do, which is helping clients, really.
Cool. And then, so for your agents, are you both sort of undertaking the training for the new agents as well, or does that fall under the business director? Like, how is that structured on that end of it?
We're doing it, and we do some group training, with all the agents. There are 9 agents, including Shannon and I, so 7 others and us, and we'll do some group training, which doesn't seem to be as effective, perhaps, as one-on-one. So, in a listing appointment, we'll bring another agent from the company with us, and let them be the lead on that listing. Let them sort of run the show. We're there to support. It went from us doing all the talking to us doing half the talking. And to be honest, I find it hard not to talk. But then really trying to let that agent be the lead and just be there to support, and then have a session in the car after where you sit and go, okay, what did we do really well, and what could we improve upon? How could we have done that better? And I think that's probably some of the most effective training that we do.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. How sort of, I guess, structured or regimented is it? Because I know, like, from here, the teams, I've never actually worked on a team in real estate, but I've been asked to join a bunch of different teams. So I've had a chance to at least sit down and talk with a lot of the team leaders. We have, I think, in our office, about 5 or 6 of the top 100 teams in RE/MAX Canada. So I've had the good opportunity to sit with them and see the really wide difference in how they approach the business and how they do the training and stuff. Do you have like a set sort of listing presentation that you sort of give out to all your agents, or do they kind of come up with their own? Do you have like in-house marketing? Do you outsource marketing? And is there like floor time or duty time or call time for each agent? Like, some offices are really strict that way, and others are much more come as you please, back and forth kind of thing. How do you sort of structure the team that way?
So we're pretty regimented, I guess, to some degree. We have a set marketing plan that's consistent with all the agents. So when you become a Stone Sister, you get a marketing book, and that's the marketing book that you go on the appointment with. And that's so that all our marketing is really easily explained, and it's consistent from one appointment to the next.
And the book, something that we did just start, is we're sending out an introductory. So we've taken the marketing book, split it into 3 sections. So there's an intro ebook that when an appointment gets booked, that goes out saying, fantastic, you're going to meet a member of Stone Sisters. Here's what you can expect. Then the agent, and sometimes we go with them, sometimes they go on their own. You can have a hardcover book. It can be a PowerPoint, on your tablet or what have you that you want to present, but it goes through the system of what we do. We've got some agents that are really experienced on our team who've been selling for over 30 years, one fellow. And so he goes and does what he's always done. And then he says, so, I've joined up with Stone Sisters. Here's everything they do. So it's just sort of a
partnership, and it's presented that way. So they can present it the best way. We just want to supply all the tools that everybody needs. Same thing with buyers. We do up buyer packages so that every buyer that works with Stone Sisters gets a buyer package that's all the same and consistent. And again, that buyer presentation, they can tweak it, but at least they have all the tools in place. And we go through role playing and all of that with them so that they know how to use those tools. Most of the agents are pretty experienced, so they're pretty good with all of that.
Sure.
And then floor duty, we don't get a lot of, we don't work in the RE/MAX office. We're in our own space. We get the odd bit of traffic dropping in, but not a ton. We do get a lot of online inquiries. And, our philosophy is we want to make sure it's the best fit. So we don't want to just come around robin where it's like, okay, Bob is next. He gets the next date, because Bob might not be the right fit for Betty Lou, so we really try and personality match and oversee without meddling on the buyer's end of things.
Cool. I wonder, have you noticed a difference? I know we've started doing that a number of years ago too, with that sort of pre-listing package that you send, the ebook, sort of separating it out and sending it ahead of time. I know the Sarah Loeb team, would speak to her quite a bit. She's made it a doctrine like for years now, like it must go out before you get there. And have you found that that's kind of I guess, warmed up the customer or made it a little bit easier
Oh,
to
yeah.
get in there?
And it's nice because we can go into a listing appointment now and we don't sit there and talk about us. We go in there and talk about them and their house
and their needs and how, you know, we can complement what their needs are and ensure their needs are met. But it's not about Stone Sisters and rah, rah, rah. That's been presented to them, you know, ahead of time.
And the CRM that we use, our contact system, is Follow Up Boss. One of the nice things with Follow Up Boss is that we can see how many times people have opened an email. So since we started doing the ebook, which is only this year that we switched to that, you know, introductory format, you know, some people, I've got a listing appointment tomorrow, for example. She's received the ebook yesterday and she's opened it 11 times.
Right.
So she keeps going back to that, which is great because we'll win that appointment. Our listing appointments tend to be a little under an hour, and they bring up the things that are important to them. You know, they'll talk about staging or they'll talk about the realtor tour or what have you, so that we're not just giving a one size fits all spray and pray.
And I think we've kind of moved to that approach too. I know we've had, with our broker Conrad, I know we've had like sort of, I guess, role play type things. So we can go in and sort of talk about the whole presentation, like even for the individual agents, he's kind of brought that somewhat team mentality to it as well. And we found that that's kind of working better too, because the older style way of doing it, or one style of doing it, is just to show up and kind of run through your listing presentation. This is everything that we do. We're awesome kind of thing, versus like kind of talking with the client and seeing what it is that they're most interested in. Like they might bring up staging, like they're really concerned that their house isn't really showing itself in its best light. And then you kind of bring those materials out kind of thing to answer them. Are you getting like a better response that way, kind of thing, with having the wide range of materials there?
Definitely, because it's just more critiquing it exactly for that client. It's not just, as you said, it's not just a one size fits all. It's then it allows us to sort of really spend that time that we have with them really focused on them instead of it being on us. Because the clients, at the end of the day, all they care about is how we're going to help them. All they care about is their house, getting the most money they possibly can with the least amount of effort and work on their end. So it allows that appointment to just be focused on that. So it's made a huge difference. I think our success rate,
conversion rate, is over 92%. So, and we're shocked a lot, you know, because we do a lot of marketing here. We have really good brand presence here. So I think often, quite frankly, often people call in Stone Sisters to get an opinion, but they fully plan on listing with their friend Bob, who lives down the street. I keep picking on Bob. But
I heard Bob's a nice guy, but you know.
I keep trying to recruit him. But it's, I know that for a fact that we've gone in some of these appointments where they just want to hear what we say, but weren't planning on listing with us and list with us. We're getting most.
Well, you mentioned Follow Up Boss. So aside from the listing presentation and that, what other kinds of technologies are you kind of looking into? I know for the last more than a few years, like video has been the big thing, right? Everybody's harping on video. I'm not really sure what the results are. I mean, it really depends on how you implement that. And for some people, it really works really well. Other people, not so much. Some people get really tied up in wasting their time becoming a photographer or videographer and not doing real estate as much. So this really depends. But what kind of things, like there's BombBomb is out there. Zillow's entered the market in Canada in different ways in different parts of the country. What kind of new things are you looking for, either that you're working on or you're kind of looking at on the horizon?
I mean, I would say we're really just working well within the technology that we're currently using. I mean, Follow Up Boss, our database has been amazing, and we're constantly tweaking and looking at ways to use that even better. Video, we do. However, we're not using them as much for a walk through video of a house. We don't find those are really effective. So we're doing house plans now instead. So we're doing floor plans, great photography. That's, I think, key and number one. A really good social media campaign that we promote everywhere. So that's targeting not only local. I mean, it's not that we ignore the local market. We don't focus a lot on our local market for advertising the property. So we really target in and advertise that property to, for us, it's Vancouver, some Toronto, Alberta, but where those buyers are coming from. So utilizing that social media a little bit more, and we continue to do that and add on different technologies. We just designed and redid our whole website. So we have a new website because that was something that we wanted to invest in, because I think that's really important, making sure that the website, Google's constantly changing and how they rank sites. We wanted to make sure that we're ranking really well.
And I think if anything, we've probably gotten more brief. We've abbreviated some of the marketing that we're doing. We used to do videos that were 4 or 5 minutes, like a whole long video. Shannon and I would stand outside of a house and go on, talk about it. Well, understanding, looking at the younger generation, looking at, I've got teenage daughters and looking at what they do, or even some millennials on our team. They're not watching video with sound. They want information in little sound bites. So we're actually, we ran a campaign. Shannon had a genius idea for Valentine's Day. And I keep talking about it, but it's so good. So rather than, a typical social media post of this is a great home, Shannon came up with the idea of, romantic dinner for 2 tonight, celebrate your sweetheart, and picked 6 of our listings, all with stunning views and a dining room. So she said, how about you have dinner here tonight? And the engagement on Facebook was really good. The engagement on Instagram was phenomenal. And it was just a quick little snippet of information. And then should the people, if they were curious, then they could go and dig more. But kind of respectful of the fact that I think people have so little time. They don't want to get bored watching a long video. We think we're hilarious, but other people don't. Our mom does. That's true.
This is the most I've ever spoken to, and I think you're hilarious. So there you go. But you are right, though. I mean, I've seen it myself here. I know there's a NAR in the U.S., the National Association of Realtors, come up with their annual stats for years about what home buyers are looking for in that. And we've actually just done one here in Ontario for the first time through our provincial association, and a lot of the info is the same. So you hit on a lot of the things. Like, number one, video wasn't that important to people, but floor plans were. And a lot of people were really surprised by that. But if you look at the NAR stats, they've been at ranked 3rd or 4th most important for people down in the United States for years. And we finally did it here. And then when people saw it, they're like, I can't believe that floor plans rank so high and videos way down here. And it's not like people don't like them, but just in order of importance, it was photos, information, floor plans, and then somewhere down here, there was a video.
Well, I think it's because it's really looking for a house, I think, is probably like looking for a mate. It's swipe left, swipe right. And, if it doesn't capture you straight away, move on. Someone's not going to want to watch that whole video.
And if there's no emotional engagement, you've lost them. So that's why the social media post of, okay, having a little romantic dinner. People are like, I could eat a romantic dinner there. It's trying to capture them. So you got to do that.
Well, the backyard. You did a backyard post of, plunge into pool times coming, plunge into the pools, or but more than one house. So there's a whole bunch of information that you put out there that people can quickly spend 10 seconds and go, yeah, I'd like a house with a pool. Let's look at those.
We are doing coronavirus one too.
Oh yeah. We'll get to that in a minute too. Yeah. But you did touch on a couple other things too. You were talking about basically targeted social media marketing. Like you said, you're looking at targeting your ads where the buyers are coming from.
Oh yeah.
And that's key. Like, a lot of people, or a lot of realtors even equate social media marketing to posting a listing on your profile. And they say, look, I advertised your listing on Facebook or Instagram and they don't necessarily understand the paid advertising part on the back end where you can target specific people and that. You mentioned that you're targeting out-of-town people. Are most of the people buying in Kelowna, are they looking at vacation properties, second homes? Are they just moving there permanently, or how's that working?
Actually, surprisingly, it's people that are moving here. Don't get me wrong, there's lots of people that are vacation owners here too, buying second residences, but mainly it's moving here.
And I think that's who we're going after. So we do, we keep mentioning Vancouver, but Vancouver's average house price is 3 times Kelowna's. Your dollar doesn't go very far. So here we're selling the university, the airport, international airport with direct flights to LA and Toronto and Vancouver, and really promoting, the schools and the quality of life that somebody can have. And we do very specifically go after, we tend to market to women. If it's a family home in a family area, we tend to pick women who are between the ages of 30 and 50, with an interest in kids, wine, and walking.
We could be, depending on the property, right? It depends if If it's a 2-story family home, we're really targeting those families.
Yeah, and this is in addition to, obviously it's available on MLS and everything else. So
Oh yeah,
it's out there for everybody to see, and this is just sort of additional targeted marketing to the people you think might be most likely to be interested, right?
We used to, and I think the real estate industry has had a tendency to, whether the realtors are promoting themselves, and it's maybe all businesses, but whether you're promoting yourself or house, you want to make it suit everybody. So, well, it's 3 bedrooms, but it could be 6 if you don't need a family room. And it's, appeal to everybody. And I think we're getting away from that and trying to be more specific, trying to specialize, identifying who we are as a company, as well as the houses themselves, saying, hey, if you've got young kids, you're not going to want to be in this penthouse apartment downtown. But, or if you're retired, yeah.
But,
yeah, I was going to say, so how is the market sort of affecting you there? Because I'm in a somewhat similar situation to you. It's not a vacation town. Hamilton's like steel town, hardworking town. So there's lots of jobs here, but we're 45 minutes or so down the road from Toronto. And we're about half the average price here, just 45 minutes down the road. And then if you go another 30, 40 minutes down the road to Niagara, it's even less expensive there. So we do have a huge influx of people from the greater Toronto area coming to Hamilton, and we even have people now in Hamilton that are kind of getting squeezed out from that pressure, and they're moving towards Niagara. So how does that proximity to Vancouver and stuff, like, do you really feel swings in the market, or does that price difference really kind of help you be busy all the time? Do things like coronavirus and the stock market fluctuations, interest rates, is that really impacting the business yet? Or do you think that's sort of coming in the next few weeks to few months?
I mean, we're always affected. I think everywhere is affected by anything that happens on a major scale in the economy. So we always have to be cognizant of that. Kelowna we're fortunate. It really is a destination. We've been a tourist destination and a retirement community for many years. The last 5 years, we've transitioned and we're becoming a high-tech hub, and we're really being deemed a safe location. So when all of this craziness, I guess to some degree, is going on everywhere else in the world, lots of people actually gravitate towards a place like Kelowna. And of course, we promote that fact very heavily. So we do see fluctuations. We don't see them to the same degree that we've seen in Calgary, or we see in some areas like Vancouver when their market, slowed down. We slowed down too, but not to the same degree. And we always seem to bounce back a little bit faster than other areas do.
And I think we do the same. Like Toronto will take because the prices are so much higher, a percentage change there is much larger than it would be in Hamilton down the road, right? So, and the same, and we're sort of, our marketing really centers around being a logistics hub. Like we've got airports and rail and sea and just a lot of industrial land, that kind of thing. So that kind of, and we're also university town. We've got 5 different hospitals. So we kind of fit that mold kind of thing. Like we have some nice views, but I'm sure not quite like Kelowna. And how do you say, is it Kelowna or Kelowna? I've heard people say it both ways, because I also want to say Tamara or Tamara. I don't know.
I know it's a Toronto thing, so it's Tamara and Kelowna.
Because I've had clients that do both, so I have to keep it at top of mind, who I'm talking to. So take it away from the business just a little bit, or kind of away from the business. What's it like being sisters and working together for so long? Like there's got to be, for the most part, every day's work. I mean, you get up and you go to work and you do your thing. I'm sure there's fantastic days, and there's got to be some. I have 2 younger brothers, so I guarantee you there's some fights and there's some yelling and screaming every so often, kind of thing. Like overall, I guess what's it like working with family?
Well, Tamara's older than me and she's really tough. So I just, whatever she says, I go with, okay?
You see that muscle?
I'm scared, okay? You know what? We're so lucky. This morning, we woke up and instantly texted each other. It was 5 a.m. So we're texting each other back and forth, mad. And it's like, oh, do you want to go for a walk? Okay, let's go for a walk. So we work all the time together. We go for walks together. We are a great relationship.
We're honestly best friends. And we're really, really lucky. It's because we have the same values, we have the same end goal. We truly care. I mean, we struggle with that sometimes because we feel like maybe a client doesn't appreciate how much we're doing for them, or maybe a team member doesn't see that we're actually genuinely trying to do what's best for them. Yeah, and I mean, certainly, maybe not. I don't know, in several years.
Yeah.
When Shannon came into the business 15 years ago, I could boss her around for probably the first year. And then she knew what she was doing, and she brought tremendous value. And actually, she's the big one who transformed this to Stone Sisters and helped create what it is today. And she'll owe me later. But she'd get a little annoyed at her eyebrow. I can't do it. So Shannon can raise one eyebrow. Do it now. She can raise a little.
In command. Let's go. Do it right now. That's awesome. Yeah. No, it's amazing to have. I think one of the big things a lot of people are missing in real estate, a lot of the agents that I've seen drop out of the business, is they don't have that support network. They don't necessarily have somebody that they can rely on whether it's a daily or weekly basis. I know a lot of guys talk to me all the time about even coming over to the Remax brokerage because they're working at an older brokerage with maybe only 3, 4, 5 agents, maybe an old family brokerage, and they don't have that community of like-minded people that they can kind of work with that understand the problems that they're having. Like, you know, if they've got 5 listings and they're one agent and they have to do 5 open houses and they don't have anybody to call, like, nobody understands that pressure like another real estate agent.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So it's great that you can do that. What are your plans, I guess, going forward, as far as you see the market sort of staying strong out in your area, or are you looking at, do you get that seasonal kind of shifting that we do? Like, we sort of peak, I say end of May, beginning of June in terms of number of sales per year. And there's a second peak, say September, October, once the kids go back to school, and there's a little bit of that. But then it really chills out for the summer. And then when it gets to Christmas, it really gets quiet kind of thing and ramps up again. Do you have that seasonal kind of thing? Or are you pretty consistent throughout the year?
No, we're probably exact same as yours.
July is still busy here. Yeah. And it didn't used to be. It used to be March, April, May, and then it was quiet. But I think since we've had so many people come in from outside the area, July is still, we're strong now. Like, we've been in multiple offers a lot lately.
Yeah.
So it should be good until end of July. Honestly, I think August 1 hits and everybody wants to go on holidays.
Right.
And then it picks up again for the second week of September, and it's good until December. Really.
Cool. Okay, so that's sort of a different track I kind of wanted to get to. The podcast is with great power. So not in a cheesy way, but everybody has like a personal power, I guess. And you sort of figure out why you do things and where you derive your power from. Like, you've both been in the real estate industry for a reasonably long period of time, like 15 and 25 years. So, you tend to get burnout, or people tend to get burnout after a while. What is it that you kind of want to accomplish, or what is it that motivates you sort of on a daily, weekly? I mean, obviously you started a new brokerage, so that was a big undertaking, but just daily, like, to keep you kind of motivated, how do you keep your head in the game, I guess?
There you go. Yeah. I think, we're lucky. We are very, very structured. So we get lots of time off. Shannon and I alternate weekends. We alternate time in the summer. So only one of us is on in the summer. And so you get a good break that way. I think what keeps us going, what keeps me going, and I know, I'll let you speak too, Shannon, for yourself, but it's seeing our team members, or agents at the brokerage, now I can't use team, but seeing them really flourish. We've got some people on the team who are great realtors and good people, and they work their tails off and give it their all, and weren't having any success, and we're failing, or we're getting out of the business, or we're starving. And seeing them crush it, seeing them give we had one agent 2 years ago send us a note on Christmas Eve saying, for the first time in my adult life, I've been able to give my family all the gifts they want and cook all the dinner, thanks to you guys. And it's like, that puts a big lump in my throat. So if we can keep finding agents who aren't able to make a go of this business, and give them the tools to see them succeed and buy the house they want, or buy the car, or take their husband or wife on a trip like they've never taken before, I can't think of anything better.
And I would say, for all of those points, definitely. That's a tremendous thing to be able to help our team and help those agents. I think also, to just add on to that, is being able to help our clients. And I know that probably sounds cheesy or cliche, or, everybody says that, but to go in, and we've been in this situation a few times this year where people are kind of coming out of a little bit of a tougher market, and still a little bit in there, but, people haven't been able to sell their houses, and they've been so frustrated with the process. And, then we're able to come in, and we do a few things differently. We have the stagers, and we market it a bit differently, and we're able to sell their house. And, the satisfaction of being able to help them, and that's, selfishly a little bit that we can say, yes, we did it, but to see their look on their face that they get to move on, they get to move up into their dream house, or they can downsize and, move on with their life. I think I love doing that every single day that you get to put that deal together. That drives me.
I love that.
No, that's amazing. And it's true. I think people it almost sounds salesy to say that, and people kind of maybe look at it that way. But it's true though. I mean, when you're able to get into a situation where somebody's been, I like helping all my clients. I mean, we took one family out, and I think just in the month of August, I looked at 40 homes with them all in one area. To the point where they even said to me, it's like, how many have we been to see? And that's why I actually did a look at my appointments. I said, well, this one's number 39. We've got so many more to go.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, but you know what? We eventually, within about 2 weeks after that, we finally found the place for them. The family got to move from a fair distance to their new home in their new area where they wanted to be. And there's very few things that are as gratifying as that, especially when they come back afterwards and they're kind of, I've never really asked for a review. I know we've got like an automated sort of system at the brokerage that just sends them an email saying, what did you think of this? But when you see them kind of go on their own and just sort of, whether it's on social media or whether they're sending a card to the office to say how much they appreciated what you did, that kind of thing, there's really very few things that are as gratifying for me anyways. So that's always a lot of fun. Going back kind of what you were saying there, you like the mentoring side as well. And now you've run a team for quite a while and now you have the brokerage. So the bigger question, I guess, and I don't know how defined it is or how deeply you want to get into it. It's like, do you have an exit strategy? Like, are you looking at maybe moving a little bit more into the mentoring side and leaving the sales behind? And you're kind of building towards having a business that you're going to sell? Have you really got to that point yet? Or is this sort of, obviously starting the brokerage is pretty busy and all time consuming. But ultimately that's kind of, I think when you're talking to any of these seminars about teams and that sort of thing, that always kind of comes up, right? Have you really looked into that yet? Or is that sort of something that's still on the horizon?
We're only 20, so I think that
I was going to say at the beginning, do you want me to make the cheesy joke that, you've been in real estate 15 years, so you must have started when you were 10?
I think we still really genuinely love what we do.
Yeah.
And, I don't work with buyers anymore. Shannon will the odd time. I haven't shown homes to buyers in quite a long time. But I really love, I get such a rush out of going on listing appointments and
getting the listing. Yeah.
I love it. So, at some point, my girls are nearly grown. So I've got, one going to university in Ontario next year in the fall, and then my other 2 years later. So will I work as much in 5 years or 10 years? We talk big picture, but we're still fairly young. So I don't think we have any intentions at this point of
retiring.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I didn't think you were going to leave anytime soon, which is good.
Oh,
I may want to become a Stone Sister. I never know.
We had a lot of people who said, okay, you're forming your own brokerage and, long-term plan, you should get rid of Sisters. You should become Stone Realty or go back to Stone Team or Stone Group. And we're like, but we are sisters and that's what we're known for. And we still love it. And, we had a lot of people say, oh, well, men aren't going to come and want to work for Stone Sisters. We've got 4 guys on the team, so it hasn't been an issue. But no, I don't think we have anything on the horizon, any sort of exit plan, because we still love it.
No, that's awesome. Honestly, I'm thinking about moving right now and becoming a Stone Sister.
Yes! That was actually my goal.
It seems like a lot of fun and it looks like a nice place to live. So I don't know what else can there be. What else can you say, right? No, I do appreciate you coming on. What's the easiest way? I believe the website is just stonesisters.com.
Yes.
And obviously on social media and a bunch of different places on Facebook. So it is Remax Kelowna Stone Sisters. Is that the brokerage? So you can look you up that way. And then we've had links all over the place. So like I mentioned, we will be producing this as it's on Facebook Live right now, but it'll be a YouTube video and a podcast. So we'll send you all that stuff. We really do appreciate you coming on. Hopefully at some point in the future, maybe we can wrap back around and do a little catch up and see how the brokerage is going, what's happening in the community, what's happening in Kelowna. And hopefully I'll see you at a conference soon.
I know, we love that.
That would be great.
Yeah, October.
Yeah,
I have to come. I haven't been. I know we've had conferences out there. I haven't been to a Western one yet.
Oh,
I haven't been to Banff. I've been to, where did I go? I was in Victoria and like Granville Island and stuff once.
Yeah.
for about 4
okay.
days. That's the only time I've ever been out west. So I've got to come and visit and hang out and do all
Yeah,
that sort of
end
stuff.
of October, the Remax conference is in Banff, so, or
I
in.
will do my best. If I start walking now, I might make it on time.
Thank you. We appreciate the
Yes, we really
opportunity.
do.
It's,
Thank you. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We'll talk soon. Take care.
Sounds good. Thank you.
And there you go. That was with the Stone Sisters, my guests today. Thank you to them for joining us. Thank you for tuning in. I love you, y'all. You know I really do. And as always, I'll talk to you again very, very soon. Bye for now.